Are you trying to become more elegant and you're just feeling like things aren't working out? They are just not going as you planned, or maybe things seem to be moving slowly. Well, that's what we're talking about today. So let's get into it. If you're new here, I'm Laura, and this is Executive Her. On this channel, I help women elevate their personal brands through modern elegance and also through style. Okay, ladies, so let's just jump right into it. Are you feeling like you are just not going where you want to go? You're not getting ahead. You're trying to become more elegant. You're trying to live a more elegant life. Well, perhaps there are some things that are getting in your way. And the first one may be because you're being sabotaged. Now, I'm not talking about sabotage in the sense of people that you know don't want you to do well, those people that will tell you they don't want you to do well. We all recognize those people. I'm talking about perhaps you're being sabotaged by someone who absolutely loves you and absolutely wants the best for you. However, they're thinking that, well, if you change, then the situation or the relationship with them changes. And so they may be putting out negative energy or saying things that you may subconsciously gravitate to or start to believe. So let's say, for example, you say to someone, I think I want to take a trip and I want to go to Atlanta, but maybe I shouldn't at this time because maybe I shouldn't spend the money. And the person says, yeah, you're right. You really shouldn't spend that money. You shouldn't go. You should wait till later when you have more money. Now, that person really wants the best for you, but they say things like that and you start to believe it. And all of a sudden, you're no longer going on that trip, whether it's to Atlanta, whether it's to Hawaii, out of the country, wherever, you're just not taking the trip because what you really wanted was them to say, no, go ahead and do it. You really should. And what they've said is that you shouldn't, because truthfully, they are thinking about what happens to them if you change, what happens to your relationship. Because if you change, well, you may not spend as much time with them, or you may not have a need for them to be in your life as much as they are. And so they start to think about themselves, even though they really want the best for you. And they're actually sabotaging you without knowing it. So the best way to deal with this is when you have goals and dreams and desires, you really have to keep them to yourself. You have to keep them private, because people will want the best for you, but they will do and say things that will limit you. You start to believe them, and they're doing it because they're fearful that they may lose you, or because you may turn into a different person. And what they really don't know is they don't know the outcome. The outcome could be very positive. If they are like you, then they're going to go with you. If they're not, they most certainly aren't going to, because now you're changing your life. But that is just progression. That's how life goes. And so you have to be careful with whom you share your goals, your dreams, and your desires. Okay, ladies, so the next reason your elegant journey is taking just a little bit longer is because of relationships or lack thereof. So you could still be in relationships that you've been in for a very long time. You could be around the people that you've always been around because that is where you're most comfortable. But you're not building those relationships with people who have the same desires that you have, or people who can help you move into a different circle to help you improve your life. And when you do this, or when you don't have relationships that can support you, of course, your journey is going to be a little bit harder. It's going to be harder for you to think in terms of, what do I do next? How do I improve? What am I going to do if I don't get this job? Or how can I get the job that I want? Or how can I live the lifestyle that I want? If you're not around people that are like you, like-minded, if you're not around people that can help you, the journey is going to be harder. It's going to be so tough that you're not going to want to do it, because in some cases, you may not know how to take that second step. Whatever that second step is, whether you want to continue your education, move forward in your career, move to a different neighborhood, whatever that desire is that you have, you're not going to do it because you don't have that encouragement. And you have to build relationships with people who are going to encourage you and people who are thinking like you. You have to be around like-minded people. So the next thing that may be happening as it relates to you kind of just improving on your elegant journey, starting to live your life in a different way, it could be because of your own internal beliefs. What is your belief system? So you may be saying that you want to do it, but deep down, you don't believe that you should have a better life or that you should be living your life in a certain way. We all are human, and as humans, we do have some doubt. Not a whole lot of doubt, but we do have some doubts. And as humans, we are raised by humans. And our belief system is based on the people that we are around, the people that were raised by us, the people that we associate with now. All of this is a product of our belief system, or our belief system is a product of all of these people and all of these environmental things around us. And we start to believe those things subconsciously, even though you may be saying, I deserve it, I should have it, but subconsciously you don't believe it. When it comes to your belief system, in order to change your belief system, and it's hard to do, it is very hard. So I'm not making light of it, and I'm not telling you that it's easy, because when it comes to things that we believe and things that have been instilled in us from childhood, it is extremely hard to do. But you can do it, you can overcome it. And part of overcoming it is to do affirmations with yourself. It is to really journal, write down the things that you want, because I find that when you write things down, that's when you start to manifest things and bring them into existence. And you have to have faith that whatever it is that you want, that you can have. You have to have faith in a higher power, faith that whatever you want, whatever you're trying to achieve, you can do it. And part of having that faith and having that belief is, again, do those affirmations, start to really think about it, write it down, journal it, have faith that you can do it. But it's also to practice. When you practice what it is that you are believing about yourself, when you practice, that is when you truly start to become it. Now, one of the examples I wanted to show you guys is my teacup. Now, I absolutely enjoyed this teacup. This teacup was a splurge, and I decided to buy this teacup because I absolutely love tea, and I drink it all day. It gives me great comfort, and it's just one of those small things that I do and enjoy for myself. Now, I have a lot of other teacups that I could use, and for the longest I was using one of the teacups that have one of those cute little sayings on it, and I thought, well, why am I using this mug when I absolutely love tea? Why don't I treat myself to bone china that I'm going to use daily? I have other china, I don't use it, but something I know I'm going to use because I really like it, and something that's going to bring me joy if that's what I like. Now, this teacup is an example because, one, it was a splurge, and I'm not telling you to go out and splurge, especially if your budget does not allow that. But the point I'm making is that when it comes to you, you should treat yourself the way that you want to live. So I bought this teacup, and one of the things that you can do if you love tea, like I do, and instead of having it in a paper cup or a cup that has one of those cutesy little sayings, you could go to the thrift store and buy a piece of china that is absolutely beautiful, that you love, and start having your tea out of that. Because when you do that, what you're saying to yourself is, you deserve it. You deserve something nice. You should be living your life in a manner that's going to give you joy, even when no one else is looking and no one else is around. Now, that is small, but it is big, because what happens is now not only are you practicing it, but you're becoming it. So instead of just saying, I believe I should, internalize it by starting to practice it. Another way that you can practice is you can also people watch. If you are trying to move in a different circle or do things differently in your life, start to people watch. People watching is so easy to do. You can go to a park and you can start to watch people and see how people interact. You can go to some of these free community events, or in my case, I'm in the Washington, D.C. area, you can go to the museums. All of that is free. And you can people watch. And when you start to people watch, you see what people do and how they behave and how they act. And based on that, you can start to practice. Also, another thing that you can do in terms of practice is when you're home alone, instead of having that paper plate, set your table. Set your table and start having your dinner in a manner in which you think you deserve, in a manner in which you want to live your life. Let's say your goal is to start dining out at 5-star restaurants. Start to set your table as if it's a 5-star restaurant. You start to practice it, you start to become it, you start to believe it. So the next thing that may be getting in your way could be fear. Now, we all have a level of fear sometimes, but the truth is, most of the time, things do not turn out the way that you imagined them in your head. Most of the time, when it comes to fear, it is much worse when you imagine it than when it actually happens. And so instead of being fearful, because it is the fear of the unknown, the fear of, well, what if this doesn't work out? Or what if my friends start not to like me, or my family start to turn against me? Or what if I'm spending too much money on whatever that thing is? There are all kinds of what ifs and all kinds of fears. So you have to really focus on not being overly afraid. You're not going to always have the answers, but when you start to move in a way that is going to improve yourself, things start to happen. You start to get the answers and you start to know what to do. And so instead of being afraid that you shouldn't try to go back to school, try it. Try to do it and see what happens. Instead of being so afraid that you don't want to go to, let's say there is a gathering and someone has invited you and you truly want to go because you really want to start going to different events. You want to be out, but you're afraid. You're afraid because you're thinking, well, I'm not going to know anyone there except the person that invited me. And what if I'm not like anyone else that's there? So one of the things that you can do to get over the fear is, one, to go. Now, when you go, arrive early, because if you arrive early, then you start to see who's coming and you start to make connection with people that are already there. Like you're arriving early, there will be other people that arrive early. Not a lot, but a few. And as people start to come in, you start to get to know who's there. You start to kind of build your own little circle or network because now you start talking to those people that are already there. And trust me, most of the time, people are feeling just like you are. They are afraid too. Most of the time when you go to these things, everyone has a little bit of anxiety about, one, being there and not knowing someone else, or being there and not having something in common with someone. But then you get there and you realize everyone's the same. Everyone has that level of anxiety. It's not as bad as you think. And it's a perfect opportunity for you to start building those relationships and or networks with other people, other like-minded people. So the next thing that could be getting your way is gratitude, your level of gratitude. Are you grateful for where you are right now? Not in terms of where you want to go. So you have to start being grateful for where you are right now and give yourself a little bit of grace because things sometimes move slowly. Things sometimes don't move the way that you want them to. And it's okay because all of that is the building blocks to where you're going. So give yourself a little bit of grace, but have gratitude for where you are right now. And also have gratitude for the things that you know are about to happen. Because if you continue, these things will happen. So give yourself some grace, have a little bit of gratitude, not a little, a lot of gratitude for where you are right now in this moment. And things will surely start to work out because, again, all of this takes a little bit of time. And not only does it take time, but you are making progress. You just have to recognize that things aren't going to happen as you want all the time. They're not going to happen as fast as you want. But if you continue to practice, if you continue on your journey of self-improvement, because that's what elegance is. It's really about how do you improve yourself and become a better version of yourself. And if you continue on that journey, you most certainly will become a better version of you. You will become the elegant woman that you want to be. I hope you've enjoyed the video. If so, give it a thumbs up. And as always, thank you so much for watching. I'll see you next time.